at Ben and Kelly Show. Great way to get a hold of us online. Got this message from Theresa.
Yeah, she said, hey, Ben and Kelly, my good friend recently became my boss.
Oh.
Prior to this, we would joke around, have a lot of fun, even spend time together on the weekends. But since she's become my boss, however, I've noticed her behaving a little differently. I don't feel as comfortable talking to her at work. She's taken the boss thing pretty seriously. And it makes me sad that our relationship is probably changing. What can or should be done in this type of situation? Should I talk to her about it? Or should I just let it go and accept that our friendship, as it was at least, is probably a thing of the past?
Get transferred. Ask her to transfer you. So she's not your direct boss. I mean, if that's not possible, then
if that's a possibility.
If that's a possibility, yeah, that may be the easiest thing to do is to make it so she is not your direct boss. Because that can certainly be tough on a relationship because she's got to do boss things, and that sometimes isn't. It's like Michael Scott wanted to be everybody's friend and also the boss, and that caused, obviously, a sitcom of comedy of errors, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But, she's got to be now aware of the other employees, and she doesn't want to be seen as maybe showing favoritism to Theresa. But at the same time, it's like, okay, so can you flip the switch from, okay, at work, we got to kind of chill out on the friendship, but then we can still hang out like we normally did on the weekends? Like, is that possible? That's got to be pretty difficult to wear the different hats.
Who has been in this situation where you are now the boss over your friend? And what would you suggest as the boss she do? You know what I mean? That's that's what I would love to hear is from someone in that situation. 502-795-1997. But yeah, I mean, if you can try to and she would be sympathetic of you asking to transfer out of that area if that's possible. I don't think that would be anything that should be you should be worried about from a friendship standpoint. But yeah, thinking about what you can do with. Having that conversation with her it's going to be a tough one because she's in a leadership position.
Yeah,
and she's going to have to do. Yeah, she's going to have to do what she has to do. Right.
Yeah.
So, that can be tough.
Well, and then make sure that you're still on your game at work, so that she doesn't have to have like a difficult conversation of why you're not performing well at work. That would be difficult, right?
Yeah, because if she had to fire you, that would be good.
That would be the worst. Yeah, I don't think there's coming back from that.
that would not be a good way to keep the friendship. If
hard
you had
not to have hard feelings over stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. So, I think first thing you got to try to get a transfer, and if you don't want to see her in that way, you know what I mean, or if you can't. I guess respect her in that way. And if
I know it's tough because you're used to your dynamic being one way, and now it's got to change. And that's sad because I know you're kind of mourning the loss of that friendship that you have because it's had to change due to other circumstances.
And I'm sure she's feeling the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe if you just sit down honestly, just say, listen, I really value our friendship, but I realize.
What do we do here?
Yeah, it's got to be a little different at work. So I don't know if it's as extreme as you go find somewhere else to work so you don't have to have that dynamic pulling at your friendship or what. I don't know if that's a possibility. But yeah, it's got to be, she's got to, behave now a certain way around you at work.
And she is in a leadership position and she's also in a problem solving position. So it's like, hey, you know what? Here's a problem. Why don't you solve this for me?
Yeah. I'm sure if she cares as much about the friendship as you do, then she wants to try to figure out a way to make it work too.
For sure. All right. Well, hey, good luck with that, Theresa. And hopefully, it all works in your favor. Again, if you want to suggest anything, you can always text 502-795-1997. There are several people chiming in on text message who are sympathetic to Theresa's situation where she and her really good friend, their dynamic changed because her really good friend became her boss at work. And M checks in and says, I was in the same position as this girl whose friend became her boss. My best friend became my boss. And while we were a dream team for work, it was really hard on our friendship because I was held to a higher standard than everyone else.
Oh.
She was harder on me because we were friends. Also, I was expected to cover for her in situations which put me in a bad spot.
Oh, gosh.
It only lasted maybe 6 months, and once positions changed, things improved. But it was a tough period, so hopefully her friend is more receptive and willing to discuss. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I think once the situation where your friend isn't your direct boss changes, I think that's when it will improve, because that dynamic is going to be hard. And I could almost see exactly what, our listener there just explained happening to Theresa, where her friend's almost harder on her because she doesn't want people to think that she's playing favorites.
Exactly. Elena said, I'm in a very similar situation. My best friend actually just became my boss. Me and her have a mutual understanding, though, that there are certain boundaries that we need to keep at work, and there's information that stays with her. I do feel our relationship at work has changed, but I also respect her enough to realize that's normal. But outside of work, I don't feel like things are different.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So they're figuring out a way to navigate it.
That's like, all right, when I scream at you because of this, know that I don't mean anything.
I still love you.
But it's to send a message to all these other yahoos that you're working with.
Uh-huh. Gosh, it just all depends on like your personal, friendship and the way that you interact, I guess, before this new dynamic happened. But I think if you just sit down and say, listen, I want to figure out a way to make this work because, I really love our friendship and I don't want that to change. But I realize at work, things are a little different with the hierarchy and I have to respect that. But, how do we best move forward knowing that there is a little something different at work?
Unless she has to sit you down and fire you. Don't let the professional things that happen at work
don't think that you can slack off because you're besties with the boss.
I'm not going to get fired. She's my best friend.
I can just hang out.
Right. All right. Well, hey, Theresa, appreciate you reaching out and good luck with that.